What is beat? What is beat? He asked me what beat was, so I told him, beat is not a what. Beat is not a what. It's jazz blues crying out on a night of moody stars over the city never sleeps. It's a struggle of hard bones and empty bottles. It's dreams left sleeping by the click-clack railroad tracks, and dreams waking on the beach with the taste of last night's drunk still in your mouth. It's calling out your lover's name so loud that it shakes the sky to brightness, then moves through the day with fierce determination. It's living present and feeling the perception like there will not be another day like this ever. It's balancing feathers and driving around the world with a stereo blasting through the interstellar air. Its blades spinning through the psychedelic movements of wind, powering the lights at the end of the world. Beat is when someone takes all you have and disappears into a fog of missing possibilities and leaves you there crying at a table set for one. Beat is when you don't care anymore that you are beat, and you just lean forward and listen to the flapping of your shoes on the hot asphalt of a slow-boiling summer's day. Beat is yow, man. Beat is yow, man. Beat is yow, man. Cool, cool, cool. It's beat children struggling to save a beat planet from plastic bags roiling in a radiated sea. Beat is beat down. Beat is beat up. Beat is life. Beat up. It eats into you like a hungry worm, breaks over you in waves of spent notes spilling wildly from some musician's pinched-lipped horn and wraps around you like a hot-smoked woman on a cool, warm night. Beat is a long, slow cry of distant train whistles in the middle of a long, dark dream. It's knowing that you're standing on a path where one journey ends and another one begins. Beat is watching the vapor trails of airplanes crisscrossing the sky and knowing that you'll be somewhere else when tomorrow burns a new experience inside you. It's tapping shoes and nodding heads and wild screams when you can't contain the joy that's inside of you. It moves your feet, propels you across the floor, and throws you into the arms of a pretty girl, while a musician on stage is smiling because he feels it too. So he starts pounding the piano so hard that the sound is flying out through the electric air as a drummer taps his hi-hat of unexplored possibilities. Beat is finding the rhythm in the form. Beat is life, man. Beat is life. Beat is life, man. Beat is life. Beat is life, man. Beat is life. Beat is life, man. Beat is life, man. Beat is life.
Everyone, it's September 3rd, 2022, and this is the 8th year of the National and International Beat Poetry Festival, and it's also a year that if Jack Kerouac had lived, he would have been 100 years old this year, and we always want to remember him. He's why I built this organization to begin with. My respect for him and his work prompted me to want to start this organization. And so I want to welcome all you. And I have some awards to give out today for people that, you know, they were not able to be here in person. I'm in Connecticut, and they're in different places all over the world. So first, I'm going to introduce Dane Ince, and he's in San Francisco, California. Hi, Dane.
Hi, Debbie.
And Dane is being named today the State of California Beat Poet Laureate. I really am so excited for him. And And the process of picking these laureates is very involved. I have a committee of people from around the world that scour the world looking for people that should be recognized. I mean, we can't recognize everyone every year, but there are those certain individuals that they just stand out so much that you have to give them credit for the work that they're doing and their involvement with this organization. And I'm proud to present to Dane today. And I will be, oops, can I? There's his award. And I will be sending it to him through the mail. But I'm very proud to have you become part of our family, Dane. And you're gonna love it being with us. So you have some time here to tell us about yourself.
Okay, I apologize. Somehow or another, things that ought to be maybe straightforward send me down a rabbit hole in my mind, and saying, well, just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself. All of a sudden becomes a whole question of, gee, how do I fit into the fabric of humanity, and where did this all start? It's just, that's the way my mind has worked, as long as I can remember. And then I sort of start to think about, people's different stories and their connections and how they relate to each other. And then, well, what am I doing as an artist? Who should care about anything that I care about? And then I try to align myself, out of my head and think of, what the human connection is, about the way people, share their lives and what's important to them, and their sadness and happiness and joy. And so for as long as I can remember, I've always had some interest in the art world, from an early age, thinking of it as a graphic adventure, and then growing up and becoming somewhat educated through the American process of public schools and public colleges and that type of thing. So now the continuing journey that I'm on is one that, because of this weird time that we're in, coming out of pandemic, if we're actually coming out of it, I'm not really sure that we are, because I think it will be something else later on that intrudes on our ability to be just pretend that there are things that outside of our consciousness that don't really matter. But because of this and certain personal circumstances that's happened to me in the last few years, I've written off and on very little bits over most of my life. A lot of that stuff is gone, except for my most recent writings and stuff. So I've always kind of had an interest in that. So I'll just read a little short piece that I just completed recently. Why birds fly in gravel skies, the mystery comes clear in fortune teller's teacup. You will be a captain of some ship or vessel as yet not known. So the story goes. We see our future here in this one. Broken branches, splintered shards, nowhere to alight, but broken we look down on entrails divination of what will come, what will be. Sitting down on curbside proscenium, watching the play unfold all the long day, smoking filterless cigarettes, wrapped now in nights, foggy bay blanket. We cannot see Orion or the blinding glare of city lights. I think maybe that's the thing to do. And part of, going back to the pandemic and talking about worldwide connections and stuff, I sort of became aware of and involved through the National Beat Poetry Foundation by a beat from the Forest of Dean in England, of all things. It's quite a circuitous route. So I thought if Carlos might have something that he'd like to ask me, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, Dean, it's a pleasure as always. I love your poetry. It's got such a humanity about it, an honesty. And at the same time, even when there's a real grit to it, there's also that wider beauty about it as well. And I think it comes from that honesty that you bring to your poetry. And I love that. But what I want to ask, I mean, this is the Beat Poetry Foundation. I mean, what on earth, why are these writers from the 50s even still relevant today? What's the connection between what you write and what they wrote?
I feel it's part of the same thing. It's a journey. It's one of the paths that people can be on if you want to associate it to a spiritual thing. Some people, it's a frequency to resonate at or with other people that have experienced that. At one time, when I was the switchboard operator, I was introduced to William Burroughs. And so sitting at the switchboard answering phones, I wound up reading every Burroughs book I could get my hands on. And that's a number of years ago now. So the things about that Burroughs had written about are just now part of my DNA. So I think there's some organic connection that fortunately I've been able to find. I think I'm aware that a lot of people go through their lives without ever finding that thing that is like them or reflects them or that they can see themselves in. So it's possibly, if one allows for that to happen, then you can make this connection to the river of humanity. And so I think I'm lucky that way. There's just something about me personally that resonates with the work ethic and the values and the interest in different elements that go to create that art that is just organically, for me, appealing, as opposed to if I was going to look at some other type of artwork. The stronger urge is in that organically in that direction, as opposed to being like an abstract expressionist painter or something like that. This just fits me now.
And do you think the fact that you're the laureate for California, which obviously home of City Lights, where Howl was first published, probably has got to be the most important publication that kickstarted the Beats, really, even if they started over in New York. Do you think there's a particular honor or responsibility bestowed upon you by this geographical connection that you have with the place? And does it intimidate you?
No, I foolishly, I have no sense of intimidation. I'm just charging ahead. I'm just charging ahead, living my life. And it is, I don't know, ironic that I should be pulled into this orbit. There was something that appealed to me about the place. And so, it resonates with me probably in some unspoken ways, the same way that it has resonated with generations of people living in San Francisco. So responsibility makes me think of the Tao, and makes me think of I don't know how you can live in a way that you are a model. So that would be I wouldn't necessarily focus on that, but just know that the existence is a model for whatever's revealed to me and how other people may see it from the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the West Coast story of the beats brings in that spirituality with a small s, as well as obviously the moment when everybody really got their initial works out, you know, Naked Lunch, On the Road, etc. This success came with it as well. And I'm sure there's going to be some great success for your works, because there's that honesty in there that does still resonate. And despite all the hedonism of the beats, that's normally the draw for a lot of people. I think once you dive slightly deeper into the text and the poetry, it is that humanity. And I think that's what you've got, that the foundation, I think, has identified. You know, there's grit, but there's that humanity and beauty in that grit as well. And I certainly love that about your work.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and thank you so much for reaching out and embracing me and my work. And I did want to say that I do think that there is, well, I'm not a beat academic. I am, you know, aware of their work and the contribution that they've made, but I think, you know, it's just the way the politics of America is, that something that is challenging to the status quo is always troubling, and there are a lot of people who spend a lot of energy to try to, you know, stop that from happening. We don't want to have, you know, any reflection on anything really, except just get down to the factory and make that widget. But many of the beats were highly literate, highly educated, very skilled. It was not an accident that they were able to create the work at the level and caliber that they did. It wasn't just, you know, some dumbbells beating on some bongos. There was some intelligence applied to the art and artistic subject matter of their day that they were compelled to investigate for their time of being here. So I'm very honored to be in any way associated with those kinds of people, because it would be something that anyone should aspire to, no matter how your art gets expressed or how you live your life, to strive for higher ideals that are not based in judgment necessarily. So I want to say thank you to the foundation, and thank you to Debbie, and also thanks to my wife Tish, and all the other poets. It is the sharing of our space and humanity and this vital thing that we have called life that allows us to have this wonderful experience of each other. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Dane. And like I said before, we're building a foundation, but we also are building an extended family with all of you. And I'm very proud of that, to have you be a part of my family. Next up, I'm going to introduce Karlostheunhappy, which I think I'm going to make him happy today. Karl Spiby. that how you pronounce it?
Spiby, yeah.
Spiby. And he's coming to us from England. And he is being named the International Beat Poet Laureate. And this is, I will be sending you this award through the mail. I don't know if you can see it, but
Brilliant.
I'm
Thank
trying to
you
show
very
it to
much.
you.
Indeed, the unhappy is happy. Yeah.
And the unhappy is happy.
Yeah.
And
there is some irony meant in the name, but it's an absolute pleasure to be here and to receive recognition from people that I definitely consider my contemporary peers as they are today, like Dane, but also we're going to speak to Jamie shortly, but people that have connections right back to the original writers, and the fact that you honor those with the lifetime awards, and that these people are part of this family, that's what is the greatest honor to me, to be recognized as part of this family. So I'd like to thanks to the foundation, especially Paul, and obviously to yourself, Debbie, and everyone else who helps out behind the scenes and make it all happen. Obviously, I have to thank William Blake for kicking it all off, and the Buddha before him. I think also, for me, Dane did touch on it as well, that I am British. I'm Welsh, to be honest, but I live in England, right on the border between England and Wales, in a dark forest of Dean, and I love the place. But I think I need to recognize and say thanks to two individuals in particular, which gave me the courage to believe that there could be an authentic British beat voice. That would be Michael Horowitz, who died sadly last year. And obviously Michael lived for a long time in Gloucestershire as well, and his son Adam, also a poet, still lives in Gloucestershire, a tiny valley called the Slad Valley, where also Laurie Lee lived as well. Anyway, Michael Horowitz was important because he created the International Poetry Incarnation in 1965, which brought the beats across from the States to the Royal Albert Hall, and was an instrumental element in bringing beat poetry to the UK. There were other names as well, like Alexander Trocchi and whatnot, already in that area, and Michael had already founded New Departures. In 1969, he edited a book for Penguin called The Children of Albion, and in that you have the collection of what was the new generation of British poets of the mid to late 60s that directly arose out of the beat poetry that came before it. So there's that link there, and that gave me the courage that there is a right to have a British beat voice. Although I do love Americana at the same time, though I despair over its politics, like I'm sure many of the Americans themselves do. The other person I'd like to thank, who is editor at a magazine called Beat Scene magazine, which started, I think, late 1980s, a guy called Kevin Ring. That magazine is now over 100 issues long, and it is the single most important source for the original beat generation, and was a massive influence on my interest in the beats, and without it I probably wouldn't be here today. So thanks to Kevin Ring. I'm not going to say anything more about myself. What I'd like to do is recognize this family that Debbie and her colleagues have created by reading a raga for my kind, or our kind, because we are few. And it's also particularly for Ron Whitehead, and the great national beat poet he's been for the States, and the honor that you're going to give him later, or may have given already, I'm not sure. But anyway, so this is a raga for my kind, for we are few, for Ron Whitehead. We, the outlaw drinkers of pain and sunsets, volunteers in the army of Blake, mad as clouds. We who scaled the walls, stood beside sisters, and heard the prayer of nature's blooming. We who slow dance with time, or sit in the hollering silence of the blues. We who walked the naked pavement, who vomit on the poverty of wealth. We who have wandered mystified with beatitude into the mind of jazz, who cut up Dada with its back to the trenches to reveal the orange sun within. We who let go the tired engines, rip off that packaging around your heart to ask, come with us, friend. Wipe the soft white beer froth from your lip and come kiss reality with me and my kind. Come swim this golden world of the sunflower mind. Come with us, friend. Join us. We who will finally rest like snow and disappear replete. That's one poem there for you. You can have that. And another one I'd like to read very quickly and briefly touches on the politics that Dane was talking about. Absolutely. And it's a sort of, you know, you write a love letter to someone you love. This is a letter of heartache. And it goes like this. Dear America, go on then, America. Show me what you can do. What you can do to give woman a flower and freedom. Show me your grace, amazing or otherwise. Show me your heart in office, your wisdom, justice, and soul. Come on, show us the overdue humanity you've surely been saving for just such an occasion. Show me your willingness to be great, that you're ready to bow down to Turtle Island, bow down to the legacy of Agent Orange. Show me how you bear arms and reach out to the poorest. Show me your rumbling, hungry nukes and their mass dismantling, stepping fresh into a world of peace. Show me how to deal with Trump, the Tea Party, kids with their classroom guns, inequality, and the death of the earth herself. Because so far, I ain't seen shit. Thank you. I'm going to wrap this up now, and I wasn't going to read this until I realized that we were in the presence of Jamie Cassidy, and I think I've put this out on social media before. This is my ode to the legacy of Neil Cassidy, and it's hopefully some of the references you'll get if you know the text that I'm referring to and the great man's life, and it's called Shoot the Paper Notes for the Pool Room Saint. Shoot the paper notes and ride the endless now, and find life's magic wild, and taste hot love. These are the learnings I took from the life of Neil Cassidy, the Dean Moriarty coder who died alone in the cold Mexican night, railroad side under stars. The James Dean of San Quentin, the Brando of all stolen automobiles of America, the Chet Baker of the further mind, under stars, alive. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Debbie, especially. And it is a very great privilege, and I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you.
Carl, that was so beautiful. Everything that you said, it's just so beautiful. And we're so happy to have you. I hope that, you know, us here in America can learn some lessons from your wisdom that you spoke of today, because we need some wisdom. And so anyway, welcome to the family.